want to welcome one and all to the 11th annual McBeckman conference. Now, first item on the agenda, wedding. So it finally happened this year. And as a result, we've had to cut some funding in some areas. So as a result, tonight, we will be sharing the keynote address, if that's okay with you all. Thank you.
I was pretty nervous about writing a speech, so I worked on it like all morning.
All morning. Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, this is my personal attorney, Tom Bauer. There we go. We are going to have two. Cool. Alrighty. So as I was saying, this is my personal attorney, Tom Bauer. Now, I did not have an attorney prior to this event, but I was driving down the Bourne Bridge, and I happened to see his face on a billboard, and I was like, I figured that would probably work well. So here we are.
And this to my left is Benjamin Finn. He's my podiatrist's son. He hopped in the car on the way out, and I didn't know he was here until we got out. Welcome, Ben.
I'm just happy to be here after all these years.
So, everybody knows if you've ever gone out with Pat somewhere and he's ready to go, you ask him, are you ready? And he says, if I were any more ready, I'd be 2 people.
Well, Pat?
There's no YouTube videos on how to be a co-best man, so thanks for that one. So we're going to figure this out.
And we are in deeply uncharted waters here. Co-best men. So in that spirit, Pat, Tom and I have been discussing, and after long hours of conversation, we've decided that we're actually going to take away the best part of the title just because we feel like it invites competition and fighting between us. How dare you try to break us up like that? So from this point on, we're going to refer to the two of us as co-men. Does that work? Yeah. So Pat, thank you for making us your men. It's a distinct honor. I thought I became a man when I was bar mitzvahed, but here we are. So thank you. So before we get any farther, there are a few distinct parties that we want to thank and acknowledge for their support in making tonight such a success. First and foremost, obviously, we want to thank the incomparable Dave and Laura McGovern. Yeah. Fun fact, Dave and Laura are In the Making's first and only groupies from Reading. For those of you who don't know, In the Making is a band that is composed of me and Pat and much of the groomsmen over there in the corner. And their support has been ceaseless through the years, and we're very thankful.
And then we'd also like to, of course, thank Bob and Patty Beckman. When I was in college with Pat, they would routinely invite me over to hang out, and they took me over for Easter and just brought me right into their family, and we went to church in the morning, and then me and a bunch of other 20-something-year-old adults did an Easter egg hunt, which I haven't done in about 20 years, so that was a good time, and that's thanks to the Beckmans. So once again, give it up for Bob and Patty Beckman. Thank you.
Bob and Patty. We, of course, want to also thank the wonderful generosity of Mr. William Enslow. Yeah. Give it up for Mr. Enslow. Mr. Enslow took time out of his very busy retired schedule to come here and be an officiant for the day. What's that? So I've just been told he's also an ordained minister. On top of being a director and an actor and having a whole auditorium named after him. Is there anything that man can't do? My goodness. Mr. Enslow, everybody.
And we'd, of course, like to thank the Red Lion for having all of us. So thank you, guys.
So a few things. We realized with the two of us that kind of invite some unique time constraints. So for the sake of tonight, we are going to keep things on the shorter side. Unfortunately, our original plan fell through. We were going to have Tom play musical interludes for all the speakers tonight, just to warn them if they were going over time. But of course, that invites the issue. Tom can't play himself out. So we've had to go a very different route tonight.
So we're just gonna play rock, paper, scissors and see who goes first. Okay?
Here we go. Are you going on shoot or says shoot? Rock, paper, scissors says shoot. Does that mean go on say or shoot? I've never played rock, paper, scissors says shoot.
Rock, paper, scissors says shoot.
That's New York.
Rock, paper, scissors says shoot. Alright, you're up, Patty.
Alright, here we go. So, a lot of people actually don't realize this, but I was friends with Lindsay before I even met Pat. And she will be the first one to admit to this. And it's a sticking point in our relationship. Just kidding. We met working on Annie Jr. in Parker Middle School. And of course, that was a great time for all of us. And I ended up inviting the whole cast of that show to my bar mitzvah. That was happening a few months after. Lindsay did not go to my bar mitzvah.
Oh boy.
She was doing an important dance recital or whatever. JK. It hasn't stopped us. But in the time since, we became really good friends. And I actually do want to attribute my meeting Lindsay was fundamental to me not only becoming an artist and an actor and all of that, but also having the friends that I have today. I feel like I owe a lot of it to you, so thank you, Lindsay. And we actually grew up very close to each other, which we did not realize for a while. She, of course, was over on Pine Ridge Road, and I was on Old Farm Road, which is about a 5-minute walk for those of you who are unfamiliar with Reading. And growing up, I would need rides to a lot of places. So, thank you again, Laura, for dealing with my capabilities in terms of commuting. But great memories were made in that car. Driving to and from the high school for rehearsal, driving to and from the high school for 5-star theater camp, driving to and from the high school for friend parties, driving to and from the high school for New Year's Eve functions, the list goes on. One time, Lindsay and I were actually dance partners for a show. This is true. For a show Mr. Enslow directed, we were dance partners for the Scarlet Pimpernel. And I was extremely intimidated because she was the dance captain for this show. And I, of course, have 2 left feet, not known for a dancer.
We'll see that later.
Exactly. And Lindsay had such patience for me. I'll never forget this. During one night of the shows, I was going out, and I was just kind of placing my feet in the general direction, and she would very much guide me to each spot that I needed to be on the stage, and then she would give one of those patented Lindsay eye rolls that I think many of us have seen before. Do you want to shoot us one right now? There it is! That was it right there. And of course, if it weren't for Lindsay, it can be said I would not have met Pat. Now Pat's all right. The first day I met Pat was a few months after. It was at 5-star theater camp. And on the first day of camp, as is per tradition, we engage in some group exercises where we break off into circles and we're playing some introductory games, you know, to kind of meet each other and build some camaraderie and just kind of familiarize yourself with the campers that you're going to work with. So I'll never forget, Pat was directly across from me in this circle. And we're playing a game called Sound in Motion. Now, as per the success of this game, you have to say your name and then you do like a little motion that's repeatable with the idea of everybody repeating and saying the name of the person before them. So, sure enough, we're going one by one by one by one. And my eyes never wavered from this smallish, vaguely scrawny-looking person, but with a very cool hat and had lots of comic book logos on it. I'll never forget that hat. Eventually, we get to Pat. Now, Pat is standing there, and in a voice that was completely unexpected to me, I just hear, Patrick, as we go around the circle. And I've never forgotten that to this day, and I feel like that's testament to who Pat is. Pat has a very mighty presence. And that can be a little bit deceptive, because despite what you may think you may know about Pat, he can still find lots of ways to surprise you. For example, I didn't realize after we first met that Pat and the Beckmans have such a wonderfully rich musical lineage that even extended beyond his generation. I also didn't realize that Pat had such mental capacity for just so much trivia. Just so much trivia that he's now a very successful trivia host, one of the most successful trivia hosts in the North Shore. I also didn't realize that at some points of the night, Pat's favorite drink request is a Maker's Mark with water with the side shot of Maker's Mark. New surprises every day. But of course, as it can be said, I really don't think that I would have known Pat if it weren't for Lindsay. So.
All right. Thank you, Ben. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Tom. Pat and I met on Tinder, actually. No, I'm just kidding. We went to college together, and it was about the first month of school, and there was this big classroom called the Fishbowl, and it was like these plate glass windows, and like all these like excited, amped up Berkeley kids who are ready to show off are all, clamoring around the outside, and they're seeing what's going on. And I go there and I see Pat online to go play, and I'm like, oh man, you must be so pumped. And Pat's like, no, we're terrible. So I figured I'd give this guy a go, because I thought that was a strikingly humble remark from what I'd seen the first couple months at Berkeley. Everybody's ready to show off. And so it gets up to his turn to take a solo. Everybody's trading fours, and Pat doesn't take a solo. He just grooves through the entire thing. I thought that was pretty cool. I asked him about it. I'm like, why'd you do that? He said, because drum solos suck and they make the song sound worse. So then I thought, this is my guy. And for the next 4 years, we played music together. And we were in a band. We played all around in Vermont and Boston and all these different things. And his mentality was always that he would serve the song over himself. It's always putting the group, the effort above himself. The sum is always greater than the parts with Pat, and that's obviously going to be evident in this marriage, because, the two of you guys are inseparable. Every time he talks about it, he talks about his house, and he talks about any conversation we have where there's another, actually you could say his wife now, but he would always be like, my girlfriend, so that nobody would put their eyes on him. Everybody would stay off. So, going forward, and Pat is witty and charming and handsome, and I can't read your handwriting here, Pat.
Yeah.
But with this said, we'd like to propose a toast.
Yeah, because in all seriousness, we do want to acknowledge the uniqueness and the specialty of this event tonight, because as many of us know, Pat and Lindsay first hung out on that fateful day back in the summer of 2008, and they haven't looked back since. So here's a toast to longevity, to purity, to confirming communities, many of whom have proven foundational to your life and the identity that you know, and of course, to slideshows. For slideshows. Pat and Lindsay, everybody.